Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome to the course Environmental Impact Assessment, and today we'll look at another case study and we'll look at it in two parts. So today we'll cover one part of it, and we'll look at the case study of water aerodrome in Andaman and Nicobar. So we'll look at this case. This is another typology which we are looking at, and this is something which new happening in the country. So we'll see how did the EIA about this particular infrastructure was prepared. So we'll look at that aspect here. So our coverage would be we're going to look at this case study, EIA of development of water aerodrome in Andaman and Nicobar. So the expected learning outcome, what is expected after you complete this particular session, these parts, that you should be able to comprehensively review the case study and look at all the components, what we have really studied in this subject, look at from the point of view of environmental status, what kind of development pressures we have, the EIA process, and then look at it from the legislative perspective, and then look at it from all the domains which should have been covered in this particular case, and then the details of it, the tools and techniques applied, and then how was the public participation and EIA report writing. So we'll not critically review that. I would make you walk through the report, but then in our discussion forum, you can take it forward with your understanding about all the aspects and see how this EIA was undertaken and your take and your perspective on this particular case. So looking at this environmental impact assessment report, this particular project is located at Swaraj Deep, which was formerly called as Havelock Islands. It's located in the Govind Nagar village and in the Taluka of Port Blair, and is located in the district of South Andaman and in Andaman and Nicobar Island. So we are looking at very typical island case here, and then looking at very upcoming project of water aerodrome here. So this project was proposed by, looking at the project proponents, is Andaman and Nicobar Administration, which is Directorate of Civil Aviation, and the environmental consultant for this is Enviro Resources, and you can see that they are an NABET certified agency consultant to undertake the EIA, and then their principal consultant are Feedback Infrastructure, and all the tests and laboratory work was done by Enviro Tech Services, Environmental Laboratories. So you can see all those informations are provided here. And then you also see that there's a declaration here which has been provided by the Enviro Resources, who are the environmental consultant for this. So they take responsibility of all the content of EIA report for the proposed development. So here you can see what we learned about how the team is. So you look at the project team here, the range of project team as per the various domain. You can see here functional areas and who were the experts involved and what was their involvement into and their endorsements. So they're responsible for the segment which they have done. And then how the report is structured. If looking at the report structure here, you can see you have executive summary, which is very key elements of report writing, and then you can see introduction, and then you can see the chapter 2 deals with the project descriptions, where you will see how with a different kind of a project, you see the type of the project, how the seaplane operations would take place, need of the project, why it is needed, where it is located, and then looking at the size and magnitude of operations, and then the technology and process description. Then all these informations, the detailed information about the project is given. Then you can see in the chapter 3, they describe the environment in which the project will be located. So you see all the materials, methods, and approach which will be used, the land environment, the air environment, then you see the noise environment, water environment, soil environment, biotic environments, socio-economic environment. So you see all that has been covered in the report. Then you also see the environmental impact and mitigation measures which they have taken, including for all the key impact areas: air, noise, water, biotic, and socioeconomic. So what are the measures they have taken to mitigate the impact? Then you see here in chapter 5, analysis of alternatives. So they have also analyzed the alternatives, so which we'll look in part 2. And then environmental monitoring program. So how do they plan to monitor the entire thing? How they're going to follow up the entire mitigation which they have talked about, and how they're going to comply by all the environmental aspects which they have committed for. And then since it's a very unique project, what you see here, so you can also see the additional studies which they have undertaken. So that is covered under chapter 7. So you see the public consultation, risk assessments, that all is given. And then you see within risk assessment also you can see risk assessment methodology, classification of emergency and disaster, consequence analysis, accident scenario, vulnerability, and impact assessment, tsunami, flooding, seaplane, all that. You can see the aircraft crash incidents, cyclone. So all that aspects have been covered here. There are a range of aspects which can come up. So all the specific additional study which was done under this project has been covered here. So you also see that they have a disaster management plan here, in addition to risk assessment. Then you also see within this, you see range of mitigation and preparedness policies, all that aspects is covered here within disaster management plan. So chapter 8, you see the project benefits. So they have talked about the impact. So here you see what are the project benefits, and what benefit will be there because of the project in the neighborhoods wherever the project is located. And then in chapter 9, they look at environmental cost benefit analysis. And then chapter 10, they look at environmental management plan. And they summarize and conclude, which helps them to make decision to the decision makers. And all the disclosures of the consultants, what all, who all have been involved. So you see the list of tables here, the kind of information which has been provided, from project brief to geographical locations, compliance of TOR. So all that has been provided with all detailed data which has been collected. So you see the wide range from information which is there, from all the details which one needs to provide as per different domain which are decided from as per the TOR or scoping of the project. So you see all the tables, and then list of figures which have to be provided. You can see the all information about the project and the environment, and then their calculations all have been provided. So you see how intense all the details have to be given here. And then all the other supporting documents, the TOR letter, and then ECBC compliance, land allotment documents, and all these what proceedings they had with public participations have to be given here. So first, quickly looking at the executive summary, I would be mixing some of the things just to cut it short. So you see here that water aerodrome, if you see, look at the list as per the notification of 2006, does not come under EIA purview. But there was concern about the committee, Expert Appraisal Committee, EAC, related with infrastructure. So they were of the opinion that there might be similar impact as per the normal airport. An airport does come within the purview of EIA. You can see I have snipped it for you here, 7A airports, and they come under category A, all projects including airstrips which are for commercial use. And so these come under category A. So given that context, and it was water port which has not been there before in Indian context, so it is not there in the list. But given the possibility of the kind of impact it might have, it has been included and taken under EIA. So looking at the project location, just to understand, so that all our learners understand where it is located. So you can see here the island here. You see these island here. So here you see that these are Andaman and Nicobar Island, and there is where the project is located. And you can see the runway here, how the water runway would be there. So this project would have facilities, like it will have some onshore facilities such as passenger terminal building, utility building, parking area, walkway towards floating jetty, and so on. And then they would have offshore facilities such as floating jetty, passenger transfer vessel, floating dock, fire and rescue boat, seaplanes, and suitable water operating area, and then approach and departure of paths. So all that would be here. You can also see the passenger terminal building layout here, how it would be. So all these construction would come up for the project, all these facilities would come up. And looking at the magnitude of this, so it would, the kind of seaplanes which would come here would carry 19 passengers, and it would have like 380 packs. The infrastructure would take care of 380 packs. So each round trip of seaplane will carry approximately 30 passengers. So you're seeing each seaplane has 19 capacity. So round trip it will carry 38 passenger, and will have considered to have 5 such trip for each of these 2 seaplanes in a day. So you see how those calculations are done, and then this particular project would really carry passengers in the range of 1 lakh passengers per annum. Which is like 380 packs daily for 270 non-monsoon days for 1 seaplane. So that is what the calculations have been made to understand the magnitude of the project. So you can see here the project site, the image of the project site. You can see here the runway and taxiway layout plan here. And then all the details which are given here. So you see how the understanding of the project detail has been developed here. The size of the seaplane which will be coming to this particular aerodrome, and the details of those technical details of the seaplane. Then you can look at the site photographs where the project would come. So you see the orchard plantation on site which is there. Then you can also see approach road, proposed approach road, currently what's the status, and then view of the proposed route for passenger transfer vehicles, so the passenger route for that. So you also see that this particular area has environmental sensitive places. So you recollect what did we study about environmental sensitive places, how do we identify, and what are the key concerns when we deal with such kind of environmental sensitive areas. So here you see they have identified environmental sensitive places within 15 kilometers. So they have taken a radius of 15 kilometers for environmental sensitive areas. So you see areas like areas protected under international conventions. So they are referring to all the protected areas under international convention. So you see that do they have it, have in this particular radius what they are studying, and the details of those projects. So you can see Rani Jhansi Marine National Park is present. Then likewise you see areas which are important or sensitive for ecological reasons like wetlands, water courses or other water bodies. So all those are present in this 15 kilometers. Then you see area used by protected important or sensitive species of flora. So you also see those mangrove forest, coral and Andaman Sea are in the close proximity. So you see all these inland, coastal, marine, state, national boundaries, routes or facilities. So all these sensitive places have been identified. So when you're preparing AI report, see how intensive it could be, and all those details have to be given point by point. So looking at the project schedule and cost here, so the project estimated cost of the project is nearly 25 crores, you see here. And the budget of the environmental management plan, so what they will do to mitigate the environmental impact, would be nearly 60 lakhs, 59 plus lakhs. So that is what their calculations are. And the kind of resources they would be using is land resource, water resource, power and manpower. So if you look at the land resource, what they would be using at is like 0.35 hectares on land side. They would be using, and then you also see water. Water will be required for project activities like domestic use, fire water storage, road washing, and for green belt development, maintenance of that, and will be channelized through the local water supply. Then you see power supply will be sourced from electrical departments, and then what will be their requirements and so on. And total manpower which is required is calculated to be 50 numbers for the project. So they would be requiring for this particular facility 50 numbers. So you see that here, and details of the geographical locations are given. You can see where it is located, and particularly this one is done within India's Udan program, which is like Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik, which is said in Hindi here, it means every common citizen of the country would fly. So Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik, and with the regional connectivity scheme RCS, so which has been abbreviated as Udan, which means flight, and it's the program for regional connectivity. So within that, this particular project is being done. So looking at now, that was the brief description about the project. Looking at the purpose of the AIA report, so we see that the purpose of this key purpose behind this EIA report is to integrate the environmental concerns in the development activities, what we are addressing as the sustainable development, so that it can enable integration of environmental concerns and mitigation measures in the project development, and also to have any kind of future liabilities, any kind of things which happen because of the project. So anticipating all that and penning it down about all the actions which they're going to take. So the study area for this EIA was 10-kilometer radial area from the proposed project site, and wherever it was environmental sensitive areas where it was concerning studying them, then 15-kilometer radius was taken. And for the study, secondary data was collected around the 10-kilometer or 15 kilometers of the site as per the study purpose. For any kind of study, detailed environmental monitoring, they had taken 10 kilometers. For the environmental sensitive area, they had taken 15 kilometers. So in order to get an idea about the existing state of environments, various environmental data were collected from meteorology, air quality, water quality, soil quality, and all those areas. And it was carried out, if you'll see, this is fairly latest report, December 2019 to February 2020. So the scope of the study included description of the project and associated work. So describing the project. So that becomes the key purpose, key component of EIA report. Then establishing the base environment and social scenario. And then identification and description of the elements of community and environment which would be likely to be impacted by the project. So those all community and environmental aspect, what kind of impact it would have. So identifying them and then describing them. And then it also had the studying the existing traffic scenario, the impact on the transportation, so that it would also do that, and conservation of resources, how resource efficiency is attained here, and then designing and specifying monitoring and audit requirement necessary. So how they're going to monitor and audit all what is going on at the operational stage of this project. So here we see how they are complying with the TOR, terms of reference. So like I said, it's the scoping stage where the TOR is used as per the domain wise, like what they really need to undertake, what they really need to study while assessing the environmental impact of any kind of a project. So if you'll see here, they have given point by point how they are complying by the TOR. So here you see like they have reasons for selecting the site with details of alternative sites and so on, which is like given in the TOR. So they have like how did they comply by it. So they had 4 sites, 1, 2, 3, 4, Char Nariyal, and then South Kalapathar. Then you have Vijayanagar beach site, Lakam Harbor. So all these were studied as alternative. So they have given it point by point and the details are given later. And then you see the details of land use breakup for proposed project. In point number 2, you can see detail of land use around 10-kilometer radius of the project site. So how they have worked it out and in which sections they are giving those details have been given. So likewise, you see that point 3, submit the present land use and permission required for any conversion such as forest, agriculture and so on. So how they have complied to it. Likewise, you can see examine and submit the water bodies including the seasonal ones within the corridor of impact. So how they have taken care of that, where all they are describing, how they have documented it so that compliance is given. Like in point 5, you can say submit a copy of contour plan with the slope drainage pattern of the site. So they have also created digital elevation models, map, elevation profile, digital pattern of 10-kilometer area, study area, which was within their scope. So, and then they have given all the figures which addresses to this terms of reference. Likewise, you can see submit details of environmentally sensitive places, land acquisition status, and then how they have addressed it. Then examine the impact of proposed project on nearest settlements. So the anticipated impact, what will happen during the construction and operation of the project, that has been mentioned, and they have also mentioned in which chapter do they cover that. So likewise, you can see examine baseline environmental quality along with the project incremental load due to proposed project activities. So the baseline environmental quality had to be given. So that has entire baseline environmental quality has been provided in the report. Then you see how they have examined levels, quantity required for filling, source of filling material and all these details you can see. We'll see point number 11, where submit details regarding rehabilitation and resettlement involved in the project. So you can see here what compliance they have done, or what do they mention here. The proposed project plot is an orchard land under Forest Department, Andaman and Nicobar Union Territory Administration and Post Division, and the said land has been allocated to Andaman and Nicobar Island Integrated Development Corporation. Thus, project plot is uninhabited and R&R aspects are not applicable. So you think about what kind of resettlement rehabilitations are required, the economical and physical, so what part they have covered and not covered. So you can reflect on that when you go through all these things. So here again, point number 12, you can see what are the various water requirements, and for that they are required to address that, and how they have created the detailed water balance chart for this particular project. And point number 13, you can see rainwater harvesting, so how they have taken care of that, and then solid waste generation and disposal of it, and then which segments addresses to that, and present land use permissions required for this purpose. So you see all the details for construction and operations have to be given. Also the comprehensive disaster management plan, which you also saw in the table of content of the report. Then examine baseline environmental quality, and then it was required to do it with the incremental load due to the project activities. So not just the baseline environmental quality, but also the projected incremental load on that, and how did they address that, which chapters have addressed it, that have mentioned it. Then air quality monitoring, and then that has to be done. Then also construction operation phase, both for environmental management plan and environmental monitoring plan with cost and parameters. So the environmental management plan and monitoring plan have to be given, so they have covered under which chapter they have covered. And then what kind of corporate social responsibility, CSR, they're going to take care of, that's been mentioned. So likewise you see they are required to submit details of trees to be cut, including their species, and whether it is also whether it also involves any protected or endangered species. So recollect what we studied, how those aspects have to be covered. So it is required by the TOR that the detailed list is prepared. We had in the previous the previous lecture also, we had seen like how the entire for the metro line, there were like 200-page list which went for the details of the trees and where the trees were cut. So here again you see point number 23, where you have details of afforestation, indicating land and financial outlay related with that. So how they're addressing it, how they're creating the green belt. Then 24, you see public hearing to be conducted for the project in accordance with the provision of EIA notification 2006. So we have also seen this notification, and that also comes here in the TOR. So how did they comply with that? And then how they have to give detailed draft EIA EMP report should be prepared in accordance with the TOR, and details of litigation pending, any kind of litigations which are involved, so that had to be mentioned here. So other details like cost of project, any clarifications which are required. And there are also, you will see here that there are additional TOR apart from the key TOR. You have importance and benefits of the project which was to be given. Then EIA will discuss the compliance of pollution control laws, so what laws it has to comply with, and justification for the land requirement, how much land they are using it, and all the drawings, details, the maps they are using here. That has to be provided here, including all the eco-sensitive areas as well, and environmentally sensitive places also. Then all the maps which they had to do, cost of all project and time of completion. So all that detail had to be given here. So you see range of additional TOR which has been adopted here. So you can see here all that. So here again you would see that since it's an island, the last point which you can see here, in addition to the above, since the proposal also was in you see island protection zone, so it had to abide by IPZ notification, island protection zone notification, as per the report it says 2011. And accordingly they had to submit EIA and EMP report. So they have undertaken all these considerations have also provided regular details pertaining to that. So you see how the TOR compliance has to be done. So you also see their reference case studies. So like since it's being done emerging area, it's very newer area for Indian context. So they also had reference case study. So you can see Harbour Air Vancouver, then you have Maldivian Trans Air and Kenmore Air Flight, and it's in Victoria. You can see here San Juan Islands. So you see all these were their key references based on which they had also judged their possible what kind of impacts it would have on what kind of domain. So we had discussed that you also adopt case study approach. So here they have also taken case studies for their reference. And then you'll see here how they have highlighted the need of the project. So you see how there is growth in the aircraft operation, and within this government initiative for creating flights for every common man of the country, this regional connectivity, within the regional connectivity scheme, this project has been created. So it's for the government setup for which this project has been created. So on that basis, they have established the need of the project. So further you see that what all details they have given for project description. So all the components which will come from passenger terminal building to facilities at the arrival area for arrival passengers. So you see all details have been mentioned. So this is in reference with the DPR, detailed project report, which is prepared, designed for the project. So based on that, what kind of impact assessment they would do here, so that all has been transferred here as well, or referred here as well. So you see all the other facilities aligned with the passenger terminal building, then the external roads, then the parking area, walkway towards floating jetty, offshore infrastructure. So the points which we talked about, you see all the details have been discussed here. And then lighting within the water operating area, water runway and runway strips. You see power and fuel requirements, and then solar power harvesting, how they would be doing, water requirement and wastewater management, how they would be handling it. So here you see how they have created the water requirements, tabulation for what purpose, how much water they would require, and what would be the total a requirement, the estimation related to that. Then in compliance with the TOR and also for the estimation purpose, they have created the water balance flow here. And then you also see the manpower requirement, what they have calculated, estimated that direct and indirect employments of about 30 to 40 numbers of people, which of various skills will happen. And then also they highlight that local business will get opportunity to supply construction material and demand generated from temporary workers, colony for basic needs. And then there can be increase in the local business. So if you remember what we had talked in the social impact assessment when we were talking about the London Bridge case also. So what kind of oppositions were raised, what kind of concerns were raised? So look at that and then try to see whether these assessment also addresses to those kind of aspects or not. So they have also given what kind of waste will be generated and how they're going to handle it, the management practice. So for example, we're just looking at one. So this copy will be given to you. You can see it in detail, but just to skim through that, you look at the aircrafts and then from the aircraft, the trash which will be collected. So how they're going to manage those waste here, and then how they would also establish the STP, and what will be its design like, and then how they're going to deal with that. And then further, what kind of rescue and firefighting plan will be there, fire pump, sprinkler system, fire extinguisher. Further, another thing, since we are dealing with islands, you also need to notice that it would also come under CRZ. coastal regulation zone notification, so it will fall under that. So how do they comply by that? So CRZ mapping is done as per the island protection zone notification of 2011, what they have referred here. And then they have demarcated all the areas of high tide level, low tide level, and so on. So you see that all acknowledgement and mapping has been done, and what will fall under what has been taken care of. So in this table you can see CRZ classification detail of the project. So jetty near runway would come in CRZ 4, then proposed road would come under CRZ 3, then runway would come under CRZ 4, terminal building would come under CRZ 3. So you see how what all elements are coming. So all that details have been given here. You can see also the CRZ map which has been created here for the project. So that was about the project description. So now we'll move towards the description of the environment where the project will be located. So how they are giving it. And while you go through this, think of what they have given, what they have not given, and what more kind of impacts can come in. So a description of the project environment. So you see they have the methodology which they have adopted is like that's much simplified methodology which you can see here. So collection and analysis of secondary data and statistics. So they have collected through literature review, interviewing resource institutes and general public. Then they have collected primary data by sampling, and then also laboratory analysis, which they have mentioned in the very beginning of in the cover page itself. And then how they are using laboratory analysis for air, water, groundwater, drinking water, noise, soil, and so on. So the third step is logically analyzing the findings of assessment studies for interpretation, extrapolation, and inferences. So they have logically, systematically analyzed all that data as per their report. So you see how they have given all the details of summary of sampling for surface water, how many stations they used, what kind of, how many parameters were covered, and what was the frequency of collecting these data is also mentioned. So you see the frequency of sampling as well mentioned here for all the aspect ambient air quality, meteorology, water quality, ecology, and so on. You can see here. And then looking at their method, what did they adopt is like one was they took 10 kilometers. For the environmental sensitive, they took 15 kilometers. Then they presented the environmental status by sampling. So by all creating the baseline information, they presented the environmental status. Then they did the cause effect by integrating 1 and 2. That is, first they established the human activities around 10 kilometers. Then they also had environmental status. So they created cause and effect relationship here to understand what kind of human activities are having impact on the resources or the environment. So and then based on that, they created influence zone and all kind of ancillary areas with respect to pollution. And then they created mitigation measures for the anticipated impact, environmental impact, and what kind of legal provisions are required to be obeyed. So all that was identified. And they also looked at the significant environmental parameters, also environmental monitoring, and then also looked at the environment identification of pollution emissions, and then also impacts on environmental attributes, so what kind of impact it had, and then also evaluate the predicted impact. So you have also seen how do we evaluate the predicted impact, and then further they prepared the EMP, and then also carried out field studies for establishing the existing conditions. So you can also see in the diagram here. So here you see how they have provided point by point all the details and what kind of data source they have used. So land, environment, for that they have used satellite image, and you see how that is been brought up, and then what kind of land cover, land use statistics are there, so within what radius, and that all has been given here. So likewise you see how they have given for the soil, how they have given for the geology, topography, how they have done for hydrology, and then what they have done for air environments, how they are monitoring ambient air quality, and what kind of sampling procedure and analysis they are taking. So they have identified different source of air pollutions, and then ambient air quality monitoring locations they have identified in the report, and then all the how they are following standards, national ambient air quality standards, and what was the result of their survey has been compared with the standards. So you also see that they have covered noise environment, and then how they are doing it, what kind of instruments are used, methods of monitoring those noise that they have detailed out here. Likewise, you see water environments, what locations from where they are collecting the samples, what standards they are following, and what are the results of their sampling survey. So you see here for the similarly for groundwater, and what are the results for groundwater. Soil sampling also you see here, and then what's the results for that. So you see how different locations from where they are taking, what are the different parameters you can see on soil sampling, all that we had studied about, and then and what are the results coming. And then they have also studied the biotic environment, and here you can see different survey locations, and then what are their observations related to different features which are coming. So you can see that in the table here, features detail. So some of the photographic evidences of the biotic environmental studies and surveys. So how is the site around the terminal building area, then banks of creeks, how they're coming here, and see the biotic environment in and around the project area. So they have also given the ecological sensitive features summary here. So you can see here in the table ecological features, what kind of features are there, biodiversity, heritage sites. So as per the all the checklist, you can see that yes, it is present or not, what are the name, identity, details, direction from the project site, and details. So you see, like, I've not put all of them, but you can see National Park here, which is present, Rani Jhansi Marine National Park, and which is 2.87 kilometer from here, northeast of the project area. So you can see this here, some of the pictures snipped for you to understand how is the park like here. And then ecological sensitive sites, you can see what all are present. So you see how sensitive the location is where the project is coming up, and how they are following certain norms, and what kind of process they are adopting to understand the environmental status of that particular place. So here you see how they are describing the environment here, and then the related pictures of the site, project sites, you can see here. So you also see that they are documenting the flora of the project, and as per like TOR conditions, they were supposed to submit the details of the trees which are going to be cut. So in the table you see here, project site specific flora inventory has been prepared with the cutting details. So you see all the botanical names, IUCN status list. We have seen it in the when we studied environmental status. So they are comparing with that, and then that's helping them to evaluate the significance of that particular loss, what is happening, and what they're going to, how much they're going to retain, which ones they're going to cut to be felled. So you can see here, like number 1, 63 are there, 61 will be fell, and only 2 will be retained, so on. So they are preparing a detailed list of that. Likewise, you can see study area flora assessment here, complete list. I have not put the complete list here. You can see the birds they are studying. Then you can see how they are making the judgment assessment. So you can see here IUCN red list category in the table here. So they are saying number of species which they listed, and then out of that how many are of least concern. 18 out of 20 are least concern. Near threatened is 1, vulnerable is 1. So none of the recorded bird species recorded during the primary surveys listed in the schedule 1 of the document here. So here how they need not undertake special measures for that. So for the butterflies also they have undertaken. You can see also they have taken for reptiles and amphibians. You can see how they are going on comparing with the IUCN red list categories here. So they have also done socioeconomic environments here. So they have undertaken baseline status, and you see here the demographics. So number of state 1, district 1, and village which will come within this is 5. And then total population is nearly like 6,000 plus, and then density of the population, sex ratio, you can see here. There are no scheduled castes. Then you see scheduled tribe, the indigenous people here, 21%. The literacy rate, the total workers, main workers, you can see marginal workers. And so you also see evaluate what's the employment rate here, or what's the sensitive community which is located here. So what kind of things they have evaluated in their socioeconomic impact assessment. So that all you can review. And what kind of resources they have evaluated that, education facilities and all kind of facilities which are there. So that has been reviewed. So recollect and rethink about what we studied when we did socioeconomic impact assessment. So they have studied all this, and you also think about what they have not studied in detail. There's also news clippings which we have also given you in the suggested reading, which suggests that this EIA was also opposed for being inadequate in terms. So you also give your inputs in what ways. Now you have studied a lot of aspects. So in what ways you see this particular EIA to be adequate or inadequate. So what's your judgment and discussion on it? So now looking at the environmental impact and mitigation measures. So after this, after looking at all these areas, they came up with the what kind of impact it has, and then what are the mitigation measures. So you can see here they have one for the air environments during the construction phase. So they saw that during the construction phase there will be a lot of emissions, and also during the operational phase they would have. So how they're going to control the dust and other things. And then you see you can reconnect with the methods part which we had studied. So the model which they have opted for the computation purpose. So all the models have been listed here, which were available to them as per the CPCB norms also. So we had seen as per the TOR for different domain also, they also give in Indian context, and what are the standard as per the literature also we have studied what are the different models which are available. So you see how what model options were available to them, what did they adopt, and what modeling procedures did they follow here, and then how did they document all that emission calculations, and what were the you can see in the table here what were the model input parameters and what were the values which they got here, and then what were the mitigation measures. So point by point they're giving mitigation measures. So like they're taking care of the site barricades, and then also precast factory for walls and slabs, how they're going to reduce the on-site pollution here. Excavation and transport shall be done during off-peak hours and so on. So those kind of mitigation measures have been taken, as well as you see this mitigation measures also taken during the operational phase. So they have identified possible source. So you see emissions from vehicular movement, emission from DG sets, emission from fossil fuels, and then what kind of impact they are predicting. So you see here that emissions, what kind of emissions would happen, and what are they, and how are they studying using various dispersion models here. You can see for all the parameters they have used. And then like the TOR said that they had to do the incremental values also, so how they have undertaken it, how they're looking at all the parameters, and how they're also seeing the incremental values for all these parameters. And then they have suggested the mitigation measures. So you can see like the DG set stack with adequate height to ensure dispersion of pollutants. So on, seaplane engine shall be maintained in good conditions, so the maintenance part of it. And then they're looking at the noise environment and what are the probable source and how they're going to take care of it. So here you see seaplane noise during takeoff and landing, and expected impact you can see in the table. So you see long exposure to high sound levels can cause loss of hearing. So what kind of mitigation they would do during takeoff and landing of seaplane? Local community may feel disturbed. So what kind of mitigation they would take for that? And then working performance of the workers, humans will be affected. So what kind of things they will do? So here you see the noise contour during the operation phase. So we had learned about what kind of maps are prepared. So you can see that they have prepared noise contour during the operation phase. So yes, you see that they have done water environments. What kind of anticipated impact they would have. So water consumptions would be there, and then how they are going to adopt, what kind of mitigation measures they would adopt. So during the construction, runoff and drainage, they have committed about good housekeeping, which will handle how the water is drained out of the site, and as even in the operation phase. So here you see how they have all the range of anticipated impact and mitigation measures point by point. So here you see habitat loss, disposal dumping, release, and then from what activity it will happen, and what is the precautionary mitigation measures which they would take. And so that's all given here in form of a matrix here. So you can see emission, disturbance to the surrounding habitat. So you can see habitat loss, alteration, disturbance of creek bed, creek bottom, releases, emissions because of the speedboat path you can see here. Then you see from the floating dock what kind of what impact it will have on which component. So here you can see again and what kind of precaution mitigations they would take. And then also socioeconomic part, you see that they have said that it would have positive impact, though we saw that it's going to generate 40 to 50 employment. So here it says the proposed project does not involve any displacement of inhabitants. So there's no displacement, but we do not know it's a physical displacement or economical displacement. And then you also see the establishment of project will help to improve tourism. So tourism itself has its own impact, negative and positive impact, and then the range of the rate of change which happens. So we are not aware of that here as well. There will be job opportunity for working in the terminal buildings. So that's also claimed here, but we are not aware how the local community is trained for taking the benefit of these opportunity. And likewise they say that they would have increase in the hotels and restaurants, but again the question which we had learned about, like how the local community is trained to take the benefit of these opportunities which come up. So it also talks about negative impacts, about all the skilled workers or contractors during the construction phase who would be coming here, which can have pressure on the infrastructure. And then there would be increase in the dust. That would also have health issues, and then also congestion, vehicular traffic, and so on. And then how they're going to mitigate those aspects. So we do see that for this particular project, panel raises concerns over Andaman water aerodrome project, and they do identify that EIA report is inadequate. So you also think and look at it like in what terms it is inadequate, what aspects they have covered, to what detail, and what they have not covered. So that was part one of this particular case study. We'll look into all the details, and I'm just going to ask you to reflect on all the aspects which we have covered. So you keep thinking and keep discussing in the forum. So we saw the part of this particular case study here. So what's the scenario? What's the project like? What kind of likely impacts might happen? So so that was what we covered today. We'll continue with this in the next session. So our key reference for this is the EIA report itself of development of water aerodrome in Andaman and Nicobar. And I've also given you the link, and we'll also share it with you on the forum, and it's available on the public domain, so you can also access it. So there are a lot of suggested watch and read related to this. You can understand this particular case better, and you can see all these cases, references which are there. So winding up today's session, please feel free to ask questions. Let us know about any concerns you have. Do share your opinions, experiences, and suggestions. Looking forward to interacting and co-learning with you while exploring AIA. Thank you.